But have circumstances, that's a position I've heard since this fight began, but have circumstances changed since bombs started dropping out of the sky on Iran?
Well, we should watch that very carefully. We want to protect our troops first and foremost, but we also want to protect the American people when it comes to their basic constitutional rights. To think that this mass paramount military is going to run roughshod over people across America is unacceptable.
There is the senator from Illinois, retiring Senator Dick Durbin, reacting to a question there on CNN about the war and about what that's going to mean in his support for it in the future. I like that he said he wants to protect the troops. But there's a lot of questions to remain. You know, specifically, is Dick Durbin going to support the Save America Act? No. But he's retiring. So he's got the rest of this year and then he's out of there. And we've got Republican candidates in the state of Illinois who are vying to win that nomination. The primary election ends. That's how you have to say it in Illinois, ends on March 17th. The voting is open right now, so you can go cast a ballot right now on your lunch in the state of Illinois. And Jeannie Evans is joining us now as a candidate for Senate in the state of Illinois. Jeannie, thank you for being with us today. It's great to have you on the show with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet. You're an attorney. I want to encourage people to go to JeannieEvans.com, JeAnnie. It's like J.E. Annie. I like that. Jeannie, talk to me about your history leading up to saying, yes, I'd like to run for a Dick Durbin seat in the Senate and represent Illinois citizens.
Yeah, with Dick Durbin retiring and with Illinois having one-party Democrat rule for so long, we continue to see high prices and high crime. I've been concerned about these things. We need someone who's going to bring a fresh voice, who will innovate to make our community safer and bring down prices for consumers. I'm a political outsider. So I graduated from Harvard Law School. I've worked as a lawyer, taking on powerful corporations and leveling the playing field for small businesses and American consumers. I do antitrust work. So I sue companies for price fixing. The goal is if companies are illegally violating the antitrust laws to raise prices, we sue them to bring down prices to promote competition and make things better for Americans. I've been successful in recovering billions of dollars for American families. I've been named one of the top antitrust enforcement lawyers in the country. I want to bring those skills to Washington to take on markets that are anti-competitive, like energy, housing, healthcare, and remove the anti-competitive structures in those industries to make them competitive, transparent, and bring down prices dramatically for American consumers. I think that's very important right now, and I want to take that on.
Jeannie Evans speaking with us, a candidate for the United States Senate seat in Illinois, and JeannieEvans.com is the website. So that's a little bit about you. It sounds like you have a experienced, well-educated background coming into the Senate. Talk to me about what Illinois residents, common folk, not the Harvard lawyers that exist here in the state of Illinois, but people like me, people like those folks in southwestern Illinois listening right now. What are they wanting out of their senator that they are not getting from Dick Durbin that you would bring?
Under Democrat rule, we see high taxes, we see high regulations. So I want to work with our president, Trump, to reduce the regulations on business, cut the red tape, cut the taxes so that businesses can thrive and create jobs and opportunities. In Illinois, under Democrat rule, we see companies leaving the state. We've had major employers like Boeing, Caterpillar, Tyson Foods, Citadel leaving, taking jobs with them, taking tax base. We want to keep those jobs. We want to have opportunities for our kids and grandkids. I think that's what the voters want. And we've also had people leaving because, taxes are too high, prices are too high. So also we have an issue with crime. So, I've raised my family, my husband and I, we've been married for 32 years. We've raised our family on the south side of Chicago. Our 4 kids have attended Chicago public schools. We're active in our Christian church community. And we've seen the devastating impact of crime. The Democrat leadership has not solved this problem. There are people in areas with crime who want to see more. We need a conservative Republican like myself who will support law enforcement, who will back the blue, who will increase staffing levels and give police the resources, the tools, the training they need. and the respect, frankly, to do their jobs and make our communities safer. And so I'm committed to doing that.
You're listening to a candidate for Senate in Illinois, Jeannie Evans, right now, jeannieevans.com. Jeannie, there's a divide in this state between essentially Cook County and everybody else. We could call it downstate, but downstate is also usually west as well as down. What do you need from Southern Illinois? What do you know about Southern Illinois? I encourage my audience as Southern Illinoisans to understand that we are much stronger with Chicago, that Chicago corruption needs to be fixed in order to make us one of the strongest states in the union. There's not a lot of hope from people down here listening when I say that. They kind of laugh at that. Talk to me about the strength of Southern Illinois and what you're hearing from them and a partnership that we can bring together with Cook County.
Yeah, I am a strong supporter of people in Southern Illinois. I have been campaigning all over the state. I've had campaign stops in Southern Illinois and Western Illinois Central, and I'm talking to voters all over the state, and I'm listening to them, and I hear the things that they care about. And one of the things they care about is prices. Their electric bills are too high, the property taxes are too high, and I want to work for them to bring down those prices. I want to bring common sense to Washington and support their rights and their freedoms. And we need this Southern Illinois. And one thing I appreciate about, all my campaign stops in Southern Illinois, I love that we start all our meetings with a prayer. We start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and people have strong conservative values. And I want to say to them, and I'll address one of my competitors in this race, Don Tracy, has placed some attack ads that are just false. I think they're desperate to win the election, but he's accused me of being a Democrat. And I want people to know that those are false. Those are just a ploy to win the campaign. You'll see all those ads are paid for by Don Tracy. I am a conservative Republican. I was blessed with wonderful parents who raised me in a Christian home to love the gospel and to also love the American Constitution. My father read to me from the Federalist Papers as bedtime stories. He read to me from Democracy in America by de Tocqueville. He taught me to love our Constitution and want to stand up for it. And that's one of the reasons, he was from a small town, but he wanted me to be a constitutional lawyer to be able to stand up for our constitutional liberties, our freedoms, freedom of speech, free enterprise. And I was inspired by that. And I ended up working hard and going to Harvard Law School. And I stand up for those principles, and I will always stand up for the Constitution and our democracy. And I just want people to know I am a strong Christian conservative in this race, and I'm committed to protecting our liberties and to reducing the size of government. So one of the problems people in Southern Illinois are seeing is there's just too many regulations that make it hard for businesses, too many taxes that make it hard for them to stay in business. And I'm going to be working to reduce those. And that's going to benefit people all over the state, Southern Illinois, as well as the Chicago area.
Jeannie Evans on the phone with us, candidate for Senate in Illinois. Jeannie, this is Ryan. Something you said kind of piqued my interest, and I just wanted to follow up on it. You said that you wanted to increase competition in specifically energy, but other areas as well. I just got my Ameren bill, and it was pretty high. And so very personal question here. How do you, because it sounds creative, like how do you plan on doing that would bring energy prices down?
Yeah, well, I think promoting competition, right? The more competition you have, that helps bring down prices. Also increasing supply. The more supply you have, if demand stays constant, you lower your prices. So with energy, we need to increase competition and increase supply. We need to draw on all the sources of energy that we have. So not just focused on one source. We can use our oil, our nuclear, our coal. We can look at solar and wind. There might be some kinds of energy that are a long way off, and we have to use the supply we have now and be developing other supply. But we need to use all the different kinds of supply, and we need to give businesses the freedom. We don't want the government telling them that they have to mandate a certain percentage of electric vehicles or some other percentage of a particular kind of energy. We need to trust businesses to be able to decide for themselves what they need. I was interested watching the State of the Union. President Trump mentioned an innovative idea about energy. He said, in areas where a new company is going to come in and really draw on the local energy supply, and that could raise prices for local residents, local businesses, that he might require those businesses to create their own energy supply. So they're not competing and they're not pulling from that energy, so it's not raising those prices. So I think that was an interesting idea, and we can innovate to find ways to increase the supply all around, to promote competition of different sources and different providers, and that will bring down prices.
Jeannie Evans speaking with us right now, candidate for United States Senate seat from Illinois, Dick Durbin's seat as he is retiring. I got one last question for you, and I'd like you to start broadly, and of course you can bring it back to your race specifically. But a lot of people think Illinois is hopeless. Blue, 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 top to bottom. You ask downstaters, they think we're just screwed because of Cook County and Chicago. I want to encourage people to open their minds and understand that the only hope we have is through, 24% of Cook County voting for a statewide Republican gets us the actual red seat in the Senate or in a statewide race. You don't need to win Cook County. You need to compete in Cook County, get like 1 out of 4 voters to go red. Talk to me right now about the possibility in this 2026 election come November, should you win the primary, can Republicans win?
We can. We absolutely can. We had Republicans winning U.S. Senate and governor. We had a Republican senator and governor up until 2018. It's not that long ago. The people of our state are more moderate or conservative. We can get those votes, and we need to share the message. The message I bring about lower taxes, lower prices, lower crime. And also, I also want to talk about education. These are things that appeal to Republicans and Democrats. They are common sense. They are reasonable. They're going to help everybody. And I'm going to work on getting the extra vote we need from Chicago. I'm from Chicago. There's a group in Chicago called Chicago Flips Red, where it's Democrats in Chicago, a lot of them moms who are who are fed up with the crime and the bad schools, and they want something different. And we're going to be working with them to bring out some of that Chicago vote to vote Republican so we can solve those problems. And we're going to try to reclaim a lot of the suburban women vote that used to vote Republican and has started to vote Democrat, because we have the answers that they want. We have jobs for their kids, making sure education is about the kids, not about the teachers union. And we're going to be, making their communities safer. And so these are the answers that they're going to want. And I'd like to take a minute, if you have it, to address one of the competitors in the race, Don Tracy, who's talked about his endorsements. He is the establishment candidate. He has been running since 20 years longer than me, since 2002, where he ran as a Democrat. He's been the chair of the Republican Party, but during that time, we did not gain any Republican seats statewide. And he also resigned in the middle of his term in 2024, an important election cycle. So what I'm trying to tell people is I have been winning in court. I have been standing up to power. I am tough in the courtroom. I am tough in the negotiation table. I will not give up. He said the infighting within the Republican Party was too hard, and he resigned. So let me tell you, it's going to be a lot tougher in the U.S. Senate, and I am ready to stand up to that fight and to stand up for conservative principles and to work with our president to reduce the taxes and the regulations that are making it so hard for the people of our state and our country. And I hope people will give me a chance, a fresh voice of the Republican Party in Illinois, Jeannie Evans, for United States Senate.
Jeannie, last question. I only got like 30 seconds. Would you support the Save America Act?
Oh, yes, I'm definitely for voter ID. Absolutely.
All right. Well, Jeannie Evans, we appreciate you giving us some of your time this afternoon. That primary is March 17th, but we know people can go vote right now. Cast your ballot. Get it locked in, folks. Do not delay. Jeannie Evans, thank you for the time. We'll have you back again soon.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye-bye. Okay.